Areshet Sefateinu Yerav lefanecha Kel Havenisa Mevinu Ma'azin Ma'abitu Makshiv Lekol Tikiyateinu.
I noticed immediately is that we're asking Hashem to Ma'abitu Makshiv, which is interesting, right? Like you're listening Lekol Tikiyateinu. So what does it mean that we want you to be Ma'abit? That we want you to look at us as we're blowing the shofar, as we're saying these tefillot. It's a interesting idea. I mean, it goes back a little bit to our experience at Har Sinai, the full sensory experience.
I had the same reaction, and the sense that naturally we assume we're asking God to heed the sound of the shofar, but that looking somehow says that when we utter a sound, they don't just enter God's ears, so to speak, but it arouses God's facial attention.
The beginning that Areshet is like the whooshing, and it's like maybe not even words at all, but dafka, the breath or the blowing that you put through the shofar. Maybe this is not about the words at all, but really focusing purely on the sounds that are occurring.
The phrase is Areshet Panim, which is actually facial, non-verbal expression, not what we're actually saying. So I'm wondering again if that difference between what are we saying and what deeply are we not saying. But I think that's like we want what we do to be pleasing to God. How do we find pleasure in a life of serving God? How do we find pleasure, not just duty, right? How do we make Torah something joyous and pleasurable? And so to me, that's, I think, what we could all use a little more joy in our lives, and that's the tefillah we make every day. Like, let this life, let us be able to find joy in it. We
could even read that here a little homiletically as Areshet Sefateinu Yerav, for us, lefanecha, in front of you, God. We're asking, of course, it to be responded to by God and pleasing in front of God, but we also want it for ourselves to be a meaningful, evocative experience, looking inside ourselves and maybe looking out around the kahal at others, that we're responding even as we're asking God, and it be pleasing to us, experientially meaningful for us, even as we ask it to be that in front of God.
Beautiful. The Seder Zichronotinu, and I don't know if there's other times where we get the possessive of the Zichronot. Like typically the psukim are about God's remembrances or God's memories. And here it becomes like about our memories or like the things we remember. And I think, on Yom HaDin is this opportunity a little bit to start reflecting on the previous year, your memories of the year, or your memories of previous Rosh Hashanahs.
The Malchiot, Zichronot, and Shofrot in Areshet Sefateinu. Kel Ram V'Nisa certainly evokes God's majesty and a little bit different than the Rachamim. I would very much like to connect the Rachamim to the Seder Zichronot. Seder Zichronot to me is always the part of this particular bracha that evokes the greatest, on some level, the greatest fear, but also the greatest sense of really needing God's rachamim if God is zocher. And of course, we have the Lekol Tikiyateinu. So we've brought in the various themes into the Areshet Sefateinu.
Shanah
Tovah.